What's up, everybody? If you want to join the greatest online Star Wars community, the Fandom Menace, make sure you hit that subscribe button before today's video starts, so you don't miss out on any updates and you're always the first to know when our newest videos go live. So the Fandom Menace has just been validated by the weirdest source possible.
The following is a world-class bullshitters exclusive.
Kathleen Kennedy, the woman who ruined Star Wars, has just been called out by the Australian morning show Today. Today had a segment about the upcoming Star Wars film, The Rise of Skywalker, which quickly devolved into a highlight reel of Star Wars' recent failures. As a fan of this channel, you already know the story, but since we're constantly growing, and we always have new viewers, thank you for subscribing by the way, we'll give you a brief review of the Star Wars situation. Star Wars Episode 9 is about to be released, but all everyone can seem to talk about are the uncharacteristic failures of the franchise for the past few years. The Today segment begins with Rogue One and the behind-the-scenes drama that caused the massive reshoots and a new director to finish the film. Next, the massive failure of Solo was highlighted, which no one can dispute, and special attention was paid to the firing of the director duo Phil Lord and Chris Miller. While Lord and Miller were fired and went on to win an Oscar, Ron Howard was brought in and, well, Solo failed hard. Up next was a coverage of Episode 9 and how Jurassic World director Colin Trevorrow was fired from the film. Then the Game of Thrones guys left, or were fired. Nothing set in stone yet, but do you see a trend here? There have been a lot of firings in Star Wars, and those decisions fall on the broad, seasoned shoulders of one ma'am, Kathleen Kennedy. One of the hosts actually goes out of the way to say,
So because as an outsider here, right, so Kathleen Kennedy, the president, for me, I look at this and go, well, she's the problem. She's in the middle of all of this. And I look at then at how many directors she's sidelined. Why would anyone with any kind of credibility want to be involved with the franchise?
a woman? Criticize Kathleen Kennedy? Shame. It's a case of I told you so, or we told you so. The Fandom Menace has been saying this for quite some time, and since we're the first channel of the Fandom Menace, I personally feel validated. You know what? I'm taking my victory lap. Hey. In all seriousness, we've criticized all of Kathleen Kennedy's bad choices over the last year and a half, and the mainstream media is finally taking note. It feels so good to be right. It feels so... You know what? This isn't about gloating. Honestly. Yes, we've made the call that Kathleen Kennedy was bad for business for quite a while. She ruined Star Wars with her nonsense. If I were to rate her efficacy as a leader, 0 out of 10 would be fair. I already laid out how we got to where we are with Star Wars. We've reported on its, Star Wars, pronouns pal, decline, so I don't need to cover it again. Plus, we just talked about it a few moments ago. What? You have the memory of a goldfish or something? I'd like to apologize to all the goldfish and goldfish enthusiasts in the audience for that last remark. It was rather tasteless. The important part of all this is that Star Wars has been ruined by this woman, and it's finally too much to ignore. This is the build-up to the Rise of Skywalker, the final chapter in the Skywalker saga. This is the time that the fans are supposed to be getting hyped, bro. But most of the news is about covering the past failures, and the past is catching up to old KK. And yes, I mean old. Was that tasteless? I don't care. The woman let Han Solo and Luke Skywalker be killed. George Lucas would never have done that. What George Lucas did do was allow this woman to take the reins of Lucasfilm and run it into the ground. Do I blame George Lucas for Kathleen Kennedy's bad choices? No. Disney refused George Lucas's drafts for Star Wars and have taken every step possible to ruin his legacy. Thanks, Disney. Speaking of legacy, the legacy of Disney Star Wars will be nothing. Disney Star Wars, Rey, Finn, Poe, Kylo, etc. will all be forgotten in the future. If they're remembered, they'll be remembered as an embarrassing footnote on the history of Star Wars. Yes, there are elements of the prequel trilogy that time has looked back on kindly, but there are about 24 moments in the sequel trilogy more egregious than the dumbest Jar Jar moment. It's funny, we may have lost Jar Jar Binks, but we gained a Jar Jar Abrams, and Abrams is far more damaging than Binks. Jar Jar Binks was a stupid cartoon character that made a part of the Phantom Menace a joke. Jar Jar Abrams was able to make all of Star Wars a joke. And you know who allowed that to happen? Kathleen Kennedy. It used to be that her bad decisions could hide behind the fact that she's a woman. The media would make constant excuses for her, but we wouldn't. Now the mainstream media is out of excuses. Told you so. I'm gloating again, but I'm not sorry. Moving forward, the only thing that can fix all of this is to give old KK the boot. With the release of The Mandalorian, we've seen a new era of Star Wars. Hopefully, the new era of Star Wars. People like Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni definitely understand the Star Wars mythos. They understand the legacy, and they definitely respect it. Kathleen Kennedy gives interviews about how there are no Star Wars comics to draw from, no novels to adapt, which as you all know is wrong! To have Favreau making callbacks to the Star Wars holiday special, the worst part of Star Wars since The Last Jedi, well, The Force Awakens, well, Attack of the Clone? Nah, I'm gonna take that one back. Jon Favreau was able to make parts of the Star Wars holiday special cool. Yes, cool. That awesome rifle the Mandalorian uses? Inspired by Boba Fett's first appearance. References to Life Day? Favreau did it. Under Kathleen Kennedy, Luke Skywalker became old, bitter, and worst of all, uncool. Did she make those decisions herself? No. Maybe? She claims to be involved in the story group, the same group that makes these horrendous decisions. She's trying to be a creative, when historically, she's just been the money man. Or person. Money person just doesn't have the same nice alliterative quality like money man does. Either way, this woman ruined Star Wars on every level. With just a few days to go until the rise of Skywalker, you have to ask yourself, will Kathleen Kennedy's past finally catch up to her and bite her on the ass? It's possible. There's all sorts of new data that kind of supports this theory. Want us to talk about that? Well, come back next time. So that's it for today, folks. What do you think of this? Were you surprised to hear that a mainstream news source called out Kathleen Kennedy and said she sounds like the problem? For us, it's refreshing, as you know. We've been saying it for many, many months, over a year at this point, and finally, a little bit of validation. But we didn't need validation from the mainstream media. We had the Fandom Menace, all of you wonderful people out there, backing us, supporting us, helping us grow, because we knew it all along. The writing was on the wall, and everyone else was just too much of a coward to say it. But we weren't. But it is nice to hear others agreeing with us finally. So before we go, folks, hit that thumbs up button and share us all over social media. We have a bunch of big videos coming out in the future, and if you'd like to catch those, we'll make sure to subscribe to the channel with the bell notification turned on to all. Because YouTube has this funny thing, this funny way of making it harder to find our videos. We haven't gone anywhere, and we're going to be here for a long time, so make sure you subscribe to World Class Bullshitters. And if you'd like even more of us, patreon.com/worldclassbs. $1 a month helps, but $5, which is only 17 cents a day, gives you access to all kinds of exclusive digital content, commentaries, and the higher you go up, the more you get. So I will be back next time discussing the rise of Skywalker and its lowered level of excitement from any other Star Wars film, as well as a few other surprises, so make sure you guys are checked in all this week to World Class Bullshitters. And on Thursday night, we'll be back with the podcast. And we're getting ready for the Rise of Skywalker review, which is just about 2 short weeks away. And we're going to have tons and tons of content for that. So keep watching, and we'll make an announcement the closer we get. So if I sound a little different, I'm at my girlfriend's parents' house and about to go to bed, and I don't want to wake everyone up recording this video, so hopefully the audio was pretty good. I'd like to think so. We got a nice new Blue Yeti here, and I just don't want to wake anyone up. So while you're watching this, know that I'm doing my part, and hoping you do yours. What part am I talking about? Well, go out into the world and be excellent to each other.